I think that KPIs are the single most least understood concepts in digitalizing business. Today, I would like to uncover some areas that seem to be misunderstood. I want to tackle the myths and misconceptions that I see plaguing even the most experienced business owners, senior managers, and even CRM consultants like myself. I would say even more. Until recently, I was promoting some of these ideas which I discovered to be completely false. I'll be honest with you, I created this video partially out of self-preservation. After explaining the same concepts to the client after client, I decided that it would be far more efficient to capture these insights in one comprehensive resource. Now, instead of repeating myself endlessly in meetings, I can simply share this video and say, let's discuss this after you've watched my video. This isn't going to be some dry academic lecture filled with theoretical frameworks that look impressive but fall apart in real world. Instead, I'm sharing practical insights about KPIs in sales, marketing, and CRM systems based on what I've seen succeed and fail over my 15 years in the industry. Not only as a consultant, I used to work as sales as well. So whether you're a business owner trying to make sense of all the metrics flooding your dashboard, a manager attempting to motivate your team effectively, or a CRM specialist designing measurement systems, this video is absolutely for you. Welcome to my channel. My name is Jeff Tiley and I'm CRM consultant. On this channel, I talk about business automation, digitalization, and anything around it. So make sure to subscribe to my channel to not miss my next videos, and make sure to hit that like button if you happen to like what I'm doing. Let's jump to the video. Let's start with the basics. KPIs stand for Key Performance Indicators, metrics designed to measure productivity and, as its name states, performance. KPIs likely emerged alongside hired labor itself. When someone pays for work, they naturally want to measure what they're getting. This fundamental need to evaluate performance led to various compensation models like revenue sharing, commissions, and bonuses. As our society and economics developed, we started to track more parameters than ever. And at some point, I think we've forgotten the reason why we were doing this first place. There are two types of KPIs, quantitative and qualitative. Now, quantitative KPIs give you those hard objective numbers that are easy to track and compare. For example, number of calls made by your sales team, meetings scheduled with prospects, deals closed within a specific time frame, or revenue generated per rep, per product, or per region, or whatever. These are attractive because they are concrete and indisputable. No one can argue that 100 calls were actually 50, assuming your tracking is accurate. Then we got qualitative KPIs, which offer more nuanced insights but are typically more challenging to measure precisely, like profit margins per deal, not just revenue, conversion rates across your sales funnel, or customer satisfaction scores. These metrics often require more context and interpretation. They're not just raw numbers, but relationships between different data points. Over the years, sophisticated frameworks have emerged attempting to create comprehensive, perfect KPIs, if you will. The balanced scorecard is perhaps the most famous, promising to give executives a complete view of organizational health through carefully selected metrics across multiple dimensions. And this is precisely where we encounter the most dangerous myth in performance measurement. Oh, but before we continue, let me thank sponsor of today's video, my company, Monthly. At Monthly, we help our clients automate business processes and implement KPIs the right way. If you need helping hand or just a pair of understanding ears, you know the game. Link in the description below. I've seen this scenario play out countless times. A company invests heavily in business intelligence tools, spends months designing dashboards, identifies dozens of KPIs, and genuinely believes they've created a system that will give them perfect visibility into their operations. Many leaders believe that a well-designed KPI system can tell them everything important about their business without needing deeper context or human interpretation. As my favorite marketing thinker Rory Sutherland brilliantly puts in, more data leads to better decisions, except when it doesn't. Let me give you an example that illustrates this. Imagine trying to measure the quality of your friendship with someone by tracking the number of messages you exchange. Does sending 100 texts a month make you a better friend than sending 50? We intuitively understand that the content, depth, and impact of those messages matter far more than their quantity. Yet businesses do exactly this with their teams all the time. obsessively tracking activity metrics while completely missing true performance and impact. They count calls, emails, and meetings without understanding whether those activities are creating value or just motion without progress. The truth is that KPIs are signals, not answers. They are indicators that require context, interpretation, and judgment. They can point you toward areas that need investigation, but they rarely tell the complete story on their own. I'm not suggesting we abandon KPIs altogether. I use them extensively in my own business and I recommend them to clients. But I've learned sometimes the hard way that they must be used thoughtfully, with a clear understanding of their limitations. Let me share some eye-opening examples from my consulting practice. Recently, I audited a large company that claimed a 56% conversion rate from advertising leads to closed deals. If you've been in a business for any length of time, you know that's practically unheard of. These numbers simply don't exist in legitimate businesses, maybe in drug dealing, but I've never seen it elsewhere. I mean, I've never dealt drugs. I just never seen these results, not elsewhere. You got the point. Anyway, the company wasn't tracking all incoming leads properly. They were only recording the most promising ones in their CRM, which artificially inflated their conversion rates. Without this crucial context, an executive might look at this KPI and think, oh, our advertising is incredibly effective. Let's double our budget. A decision that would waste significant resources based on fundamentally flawed data. I've also encountered the opposite scenario. Businesses with thousands of monthly leads and conversion rates below 1% when industry standards hover around 5%. The KPI suggests something is broken, perhaps poor lead quality or ineffective sales follow-up, but only human investigation can determine the real cause. One of my favorite examples comes from an Eastern European client where the board set a goal to increase VIP clients from 50 to 70. These VIP clients represented approximately 20% of their revenue. Truly important relationships. What did the management team do? Instead of finding new, high-value clients, which was the board's actual intention, they simply lowered the qualification threshold for VIP status in their CRM system. With one database formula change, they hit their KPI target without adding a single dollar of business value. This highlights a fundamental truth about metrics. What you measure drives behavior, sometimes in ways you never intended. Let's talk about something rarely discussed in business literature: the psychological impact of KPIs on your team. I witnessed firsthand how poorly designed KPI systems can destroy motivation, drive away top performance, and create a toxic culture of gaming the system rather than driving real business outcomes. Consider the common practice of requiring all sales representatives to make a minimum number of calls per day. This assumption is that more calls equal more sales, which seems logical on the surface, but the sales professionals are not identical robots. They have different strengths and approaches. Some reps thrive with a high-volume, fast-paced approach, making many calls with a number games mentality. Others succeed through fewer, highly prepared engagements that build deeper trust and result in larger deals. When you force everyone into the same activity metrics, you inadvertently penalize those whose natural style differs from your prescribed approach. I've seen companies lose their best performers because leadership became obsessed with metrics that had little connection to actual results. The hard truth is, people have a deeply ingrained sense of fairness. When they feel measured by arbitrary or irrelevant standards, they disengage. They either leave your company or worse, stay and develop creative ways to game your metrics while delivering minimum actual value. So, if perfect KPI systems are a myth, and poorly designed ones can be actively harmful, how should we approach performance measurement? Here's my framework for creating KPI systems that actually drive business value. First, use KPIs as anomaly detectors, not performance indicators. In my own company, I set up dashboards with simple traffic light systems for important metrics. For example, with overdue deals in our CRM, we have like 0 overdue deals, which is green, 1 to 10 overdue deals is yellow, 10 and more overdue deals, red. When the light turns red, I know something needs investigation, but I don't automatically assume poor performance. Once, this indicator helped me discover that a sales rep had started looking for a new job. The KPI didn't tell me why deals were being neglected, but it alerted me to dig deeper. Now, second, build KPIs based on reality, not wishful thinking. If you have 100 deals in your pipeline worth $100 each, and historical data shows 10% typically close, it's unrealistic to set a sales quota requiring 50% conversion. Instead, set achievable targets, perhaps 12 deals, which is $1,200, to stretch performance slightly beyond the statistical expectations of 10 deals, which would be $1,000. When KPIs reflect achievable goals based on actual data, they motivate rather than frustrate your team. People respond positively to challenging but attainable targets. On the other hand, they disengage from metrics they perceive as impossible. Now, third, layer quantitative and qualitative measurements. The most effective KPI systems combine hard numbers with contextual evaluation. For example, don't just track customer acquisition cost. Also measure customer lifetime value and satisfaction. This more holistic or helicopter view prevents optimizing of one metric at the expense of a long-term business health. Number 4, allow for individual differences in performance style. Rather than forcing identical activity metrics on everyone, focus heavily on outcome metrics, giving the team members flexibility on how they achieve results. This approach honors the reality that different people excel through different methods. And now finally, use KPIs as conversation starters, not final verdicts. The most valuable function of a KPI is often the discussion it generates. Why did our customer acquisition cost increase last quarter is a much more productive conversation starter than you failed to hit your CAC target. When implementing KPIs in your CRM or business systems, these practical steps will help you avoid the common pitfalls. Now, start simple. Begin with 3-5 truly important metrics rather than trying to measure everything. You can always add complexity later. Now, secondly, involve the team. People support what they help create. Ask frontline staff and managers what metrics would actually help them improve performance. Number 3, test before you enforce. Run your proposed KPI system for 1 to 3 months as an observation tool before trying to enforce it. This allows you to identify unintended consequences before they damage your business. But ideally, try to not enforce KPIs at all. Now, next, schedule regular reviews. KPIs should evolve as your business and markets change. At minimum, conduct quarterly reviews to ensure your metrics still align with your strategic priorities. Now, finally, balance leading and lagging indicators. Lagging indicators, like quarterly revenue, for example, tells you what has happened, while leading indicators, like sales pipeline growth, help you predict what will happen in the future. You need both. Now, KPIs are neither the salvation nor the curse of the modern business. They're simply tools that can be used skillfully or clumsily. The difference lies not in sophistication or your dashboards or the quantity of your metrics, but in how thoughtfully you apply them to real business challenges. Remember, a KPI can tell you what is happening, but rarely why it's happening. And in business, the why is usually what matters most. Before implementing or revamping your KPI system, ask yourself these questions. Am I measuring something that actually matters to business outcomes? Do these metrics reflect reality or a wishful thinking? Am I prepared to use these KPIs as starting points for investigation and not final verdicts? And finally, will these measurements encourage behaviors that genuinely benefit the business? If you can answer yes to these questions, you are on the right track to creating KPIs that serve your business rather than distract it. I hope this video has given you a more nuanced perspective on KPIs and how to implement them effectively. If you found this useful, please hit like button and subscribe to my channel for more insights on business automation and digitalization. Oh, and if you want to hire me, link to my company website in the description below. On this note, thanks for watching. See you next time. Peace.